Hi, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining today's Top Tips session hosted by our MicroStrategy Support team. So we're going to begin momentarily. Give it just a couple seconds here. But before we begin, I want to go through a couple of housekeeping items with everyone. First off, I want to encourage you all to use YouTube's live chat feature where you can submit any questions that you have throughout the presentation, and you can go ahead and submit that through the right-hand feature. The right-hand side of your video, you'll see that YouTube live chat feature, or if you're on mobile, you'll see that feature at the bottom of your screen. So we'll go through and have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, go through any questions that have been submitted, and make sure that you get all those answered by our experts. So just a reminder that our session today is going to be recorded and shared afterwards. So I want to encourage you all to refrain from sharing any environment-specific or system-specific questions during the Q&A session. All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Heather Brewster, and I am a senior manager from our North American support team. And today's topic is getting started with MicroStrategy Library Mobile SDK. All right. And for today's session, we are joined by a group of our Library Mobile SDK experts. You'll be hearing from Enrique Pastrana, our Library Mobile SDK product specialist from our international support team. Enrique will be sharing with you all an overview of the MicroStrategy Library Mobile customization process, and he will be sharing some demonstrations of various rebranding techniques that you can take advantage of. We are also joined by Holly Stevens, our product manager from our technology team, who will be sharing some key features in the product roadmap to look forward to, as well as Anais Serrano, who is a senior education consultant, who's going to be sharing some additional courses that you can take advantage of to learn more about this topic. And lastly, we have Regina Williams, who is our senior mobile architect from our North American support team. And Regina is going to be behind the scenes reviewing all of the questions that get posted in the live chat feature so that our experts can answer them during the Q&A session. And we have a lot of great content to get through today, but before we get into it, I want to remind you all that today's presentation covers our latest platform release, which is MicroStrategy 2021. MicroStrategy 2021 is really an enterprise grade platform where you can leverage, of course, modern analytics on any device of your choosing, but you can also take advantage of an open architecture. And next slide, Reza. All right, and with an open architecture, this really allows you to extend, integrate, and embed MicroStrategy across all your existing investments. And you can use a wide variety of products, including, of course, Library Mobile SDK. And I also want to highlight that MicroStrategy's 2021 mobile platform offers multiple strategies for transformational mobility, depending on the needs of your business, including with Hypermobile, MicroStrategy Mobile, and Library Mobile. And next slide, Reza. All right. And also, as this is our last webinar of the year, I want to mention that our end of support for MicroStrategy 2019 is coming up, and Library Mobile SDK also follows that same platform support lifecycle. So it's important to begin planning your upgrade to MicroStrategy 2021 and to also begin utilizing the latest version of MicroStrategy Library Mobile SDK. Next slide. All right. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Enrique, and he's going to be sharing his expertise on all things MicroStrategy Library Mobile SDK.
Thank you for that introduction, Heather. Well, from now on, we're going to introduce the different options we have to customize our app using Library Mobile SDK. Next, please. Some of the key functionalities of MicroStrategy Library Mobile SDK, among others, are, well, it's a software framework to build a mobile app to consume MicroStrategy data. It comes pre-configured in the form of a project for both Android and iOS using Android Studio or Xcode. It supports features such as having push notifications and integration with App Config compliant DMM providers, and allow developers to rebrand and extend MicroStrategy Library Mobile capabilities. Okay, next. We must differentiate between two main target scenarios. One is customizing or modifying any of the out-of-the-box features of the application. For example, altering the normal logic of authentication process to include some custom logic or defining some visual aspect of the application, such as color, fonts, layouts. And the other is extending or adding functionality to the standard application using third-party tools. As an example is, well, using our app in conjunction with the MicroStrategy REST API, for example. Okay, next, please. This is an overview showing the information workflow when using the Library Mobile application. As shown in the picture, library requests information to Library REST API server. Then the REST API server communicates with the intelligence server, and the intelligence server does its stuff and retrieves the information requested from warehouse, metadata, as usual. Then the information goes its way back to the library app to present the results. Okay. Next, please. Next, we'll see what we need to start customizing Library Mobile. Next, please. The basic requirements to work with Library SDK are, for the development phase, a Mac computer, the specific version of Xcode to build our customizations. This can be found in the README file that comes with the library project. The MicroStrategy Library Mobile project from the MicroStrategy download page, and the preferences.json file from library server, in case we want to pre-configure the application. We will see this later on. For the deployment, we will need an app developer or enterprise account and test devices. This is not MicroStrategy specific. Since we are going to focus on Library Mobile for iOS, we are going to be using Xcode. So we will explain briefly the different areas of Xcode environment. First is the build controls. This is to build and execute our app and choose the device the app is going to run on. Then the project navigator, to move between the different files and components of the application. The toolbar, that it is used to add components to the app and to show or hide the different parts of Xcode. The file inspector, this area shows the settings of the files or objects that we are working with so that we can modify them. Then the debugger area. In this area, we will see any error message or use it to inspect the internals of our application. And lastly is the project target settings, where we can configure the different available options for our project. This will also be the area where we can actually work with our custom code. Next. We're going to present how to customize the different visual parts of Library Mobile application. Okay. The visual elements that can be customized using MicroStrategy Library Mobile SDK is the application name, the application icon, the launch screens, and the login screen. Next. Here we can see an example on how launch screen, login screen, and icon app can be modified to meet our branding requirements. Next. The custom login screen can be created without writing any code, simply using the properties in a specific plist file in Xcode. Library Mobile will read the options in this file to get the definition of the user interface to be used in the different authentication screens. Okay. We will present a video showing how to rebrand the splash screen and login screen. Please, Reza. We're gonna start customizing the splash screen and the login screen for the library app. Let's have a look at what's the default aspect. So as we saw, this is the default aspect of the login screen. And because the other one went really quick, let's have a look. This is the blue one. Okay, so we can have a look at them here in Xcode. We see the aspect of the splash screen by default. So this is what we're gonna change. First of all, let's remove all the elements that I don't need. This image here. And so this image here, this spacer here. Now let's put a background color. Custom one, which will be this light gray. Let's create an image as an icon here. I have prepared an image. Will be this one. Let's put a name, descriptive name. And let's put the corresponding image, which is this one. This is the image that I'm going to set. Let's create some labels. This one, the name of the application. And another one, some text. Let's add some restrictions for this. I'm going to set it to 20 to the top in relation to the margins. Horizontally aligned, and then I think that's all. This I want to set it to a custom font. Sorry. Vertical will be, and make it a bit bigger. 50 points. Yeah, and the color would be this dark green. Let's do the same for this one. Maybe I can make it bigger. 30 would be enough. And the color would be the same, this dark green. Let's start to add some restrictions. For this, I think I want this a bit bigger. Yeah. Let's set it to 100. No, 300 better. Yeah, I want that. And this I will set it to 10 points in relation to the logo. Yeah, and let's enter this. With this, I want this 20 points in relation to the bottom. Center this horizontally as well. Okay, I think we're done with the splash screen. Let's move now to make customizations to the login screen. To customize the login screen, we're going to make changes on this file. MSI UI customization settings playlist. So having setting values for these settings, we will change the aspect of the login page of this. This is the default one, and then we're going to change this. We're going to make a few changes, like changing this icon, setting the color of this, putting a background here, and things like that, changing the login button. For the login screen, MicroStrategy has organized the following way. So we have 3 different styles for the login screen. 1, 2, 3. This is the basic one, theme 1 and theme 2. This is numbered. So this will be 0, this will be 1, and this will be 2. And this corresponds to this setting, login UI screen style. In this case, I put 0, but I want to put 2 because it's the one that I like. Let's move now to change some of the things here. First of all, we're going to change this icon and put the one that we created before. I think we can reuse the same that we created. Let's look for it. Yeah, I think we're going to reuse this one. Let's copy the name and let's go to this file. And this is the login icon property. Icon image, I will put here the image that I choose. I want to make also a bit bigger, so I can add a setting here that is called icon size. Icon size, this will be a number. And let's make it, I think 100 would be okay. The server label, which is this one, I want this to appear, but I'm gonna make, instead of black, I'm gonna set it to the dark green we have been using. The background color for this top half of the screen, I'm gonna set a background image. For this setting, I have prepared an image here. Let's create one. This one. Let's give it a name. Let's go to the background image and set it the same for every type of device. I think that's all. And the last thing is the login button. In this case, MicroStrategy can set a different, can have different settings for every type of authentication. In this case, we're going to use a standard authentication. I mean, we're giving our credentials, username and password. Let's create one item for this one. I can set the auth type for standard authentication, which is number 1. And then what I'm going to change is the background color. So I want the login word there. And then let's put the green color that we have been using. Okay, I think we are good to go. Let's give this a try. Make this bigger. Let's delete the application. for all the changes to take place. Folder, and let's run it. Splash screen. It's taking a bit to load. Here we go. And this is our login screen. Custom icon, color of the server label, and let's see the login button. We can see how the login button changed the appearance. And that's all. This is how we have customized the launch screen and the login screen for the library app. Next one, please. Yeah. Apart from the visual customization to run library, there are aspects that can be modified that are not visible at the user interface level. Next, please. Some examples of functional branding are defining a custom URL scheme that makes possible to use a custom URL type for each application. We'll see this in one of our demos. Preconfigure Library Mobile so that all preferences come packaged within the application, and setting a dossier as a home screen instead of presenting a list of dossier. Next. Setting a dossier as a home screen in our app instead of a list of dossiers in our library is an interesting feature. It offers the feeling that the end user is working with a totally customized application by simply creating a dossier with the information we need. And this will also allow to present a restricted set of actions the end user can do when using library. Next. Preconfiguring Library Mobile is a great feature that allows to get the different options to connect to a specific environment and package them in the final application. No need to create a configuration link. We will present the steps to Preconfigure Library Mobile. First step, create a mobile configuration in the library admin page. We need to go to Mobile Configuration tab in Library admin page, then select the options and advanced options we want to add to our application, such as home screen, clearing caches, etc., and save it. Okay. The second step is to download all these options in a JSON file. The preferences will be stored in a file that can be downloaded from library admin page. This preferences.json file must be stored in MicroStrategy Library iPad folder in the MicroStrategy Library project in Xcode. Next, please. The override 16 preferences setting. Well, this setting is located in MicroStrategy custom MSTR customizations build-list file. When this setting is set to 1, we're telling MicroStrategy Library to override the settings of the already installed application and take it into account in the new settings. Next, please. Let's have a look at how to set a dossier as a home screen and how to pre-configure library. Risa, please. In this video, we're gonna show how to pre-configure our library application. To pre-configure our library application, we need to get all the configuration information in the configuration link in the library admin page, put it in a JSON file, and download this file to compile with our application. This way, when we start in our device the library mobile application, we will have all the information to connect directly to the REST server. Okay, let's start. We go to our library admin page. We go to the mobile configuration, create a configuration link. Let's put a descriptive name. Let's choose a home screen. In this case, I'm gonna use a dossier. in my library app. For example, this one. This dossier. We're getting the information from the dossier, getting the link, copy link, and then go to the page, set this dossier as a home page. Let's check if it works. It's loading. And yeah, setting different options. Phone, because I'm using an iPhone. This advanced settings. I'm always clearing caches. And I think we're done. Okay, so we have the information about the configuration link. What we need to do right now is to, instead of providing the configuration link, we're going to download this file in the form of a JSON file. And we need to put it in our library. And we need to locate it inside the template folder. I think it's iPad, and call it preferences.json. Be careful to put this P from preferences in capital. Save it. We're done. We go into Xcode, go to iPad folder, and don't forget to add this new file, which is this preferences.json. Add in the file, and we're done. We're making sure that we are cleaning our folder. Application is not installed, not in the caches. Yeah. So let's execute this. Application, splash screen, login screen, name, and we see how we can get to our home page, and no need to provide a configuration link. Nothing. So we have pre-configured our application. And that's all. Okay, next we will see how we can extend the functionality of Library Mobile application. A couple of examples of adding additional capabilities to Library Mobile application could be, for example, adding a user administration panel, which can be used to create, read, update, and delete users from our MicroStrategy environment. Another example could be creating the code to show information about the servers MicroStrategy library is working on. For example, information about the REST server or intelligence server. Okay, next. The App Delegate protocol. The App Delegate process is used by all the iOS applications to manage interactions with the operating system. In Library for iOS, Library Mobile has its custom App Delegate object that is called Dossier App Delegate. This will allow us to extend Library Mobile using the App Delegate methods. Okay. Additionally, we can add extra functionality to the login process by creating a login delegate, the same way we saw with App Delegate. For example, adding custom logic at different parts of the login process, such as create and store server settings to be used later, or pass custom headers in the different REST requests to be done. Okay, next. The login delegate methods are to be used in the login delegate class. There are 5 methods here. The login button tab. This is when the login button in the login screen is tapped. The handle pre-mobile login. Those are the actions to be done before logging in. The handle post-mobile login. Those are the actions to be done after the login. Mobile login did succeed. These are the actions to be executed when login is successful. And the mobile login did fail. These are the actions to be executed when the login failed, for example, in an incorrect username, for example. Next, please. Next, we have a demo showing how to create both custom app delegate and custom login delegate for Library Mobile. Please, Resta. Let's create a custom app delegate and a login delegate for our library application. With the custom app delegate, we can intercept some of the app delegate object to perform the actions we need. And with the login delegate, we will do the same. So we can take several actions during the several steps of the process login. Before logging in, after logging in, if the login fail or the login succeeds. Let's start by creating a new file for the app delegate. Swift file, descriptive name. This will create the bridging header, so we can use the MicroStrategy Library App Objective-C libraries. Xcode will create it for us automatically. So we have now our custom app delegate. Let's create a class. Form to delegate, which is a delegate that library has. We have an error. I think, yeah, here we go. Let's add here. With this, we're good to go. We need to include also is the name. Since we are using this, we will also need to go to supporting files, main, and comment all this. What's next? To set to tell our application to use our custom app delegate instead of the default one. We're going to this, go to the app delegate, and instead of the app delegate, export to use one, the one that we created. And with iPad, the same, we go to the app delegate, remove this, and put ours. I think we are good to go now. Yeah, let's do something to test our delegate. Even the background. And the same, for example, coming back to the foreground. I think we're good to go to test this. What do we have here? Oh, yeah, for instance. So we're good to go setting 2 breakpoints here. Set clean build folder to make sure everything works correctly. We have nothing here, no application is done. Let's let the application execute it. Let's begin. We have our application running. Let's see what happens when I send this to the background. Our breakpoint is being hit. Step over, we see the message. Let's continue and let's recover the application. We have the message back to the foreground here. So this is how we implement. So we can put here the actions we need or create another, use another methods of the App Delegate object. But this is a very simple test. Let's do the same and create a login delegate. The login delegate, we will use it, well, exactly the same way as we're using this App Delegate to have some actions done during the login process. So for this, we're going to delete this breakpoint. We'll create a file. File. Swift, next. Login delegate. Go. Have this. We create our class. Should be delegate that. Extend this one. Now we need to also import MicroStrategy Mobile. The code, so here is where we're going to put our custom actions. This login delegate will have several methods that we can use to perform actions. For example, let's say when I tap the login button, let's do something. Then printing. Here. This method, we need to use the completion handler so the application to continue working. And there are other methods that we could use. For example, if I have logged with no problems. And we can do the same in case we fail logging in. I think this is all we need. So we need to do one thing, is to register this login delegate in our custom app delegate. Have we done this? I think now we are we are good to go. Let's set some breakpoints in our test delegate and everything, our application. So we can start from scratch, clean folder, and yeah, run our application. Let's see how it goes. Load screen. Let's clear the console. And I'm tapping the login button of first breakpoint here. I have tapped the button. Okay, let's continue. And then I exist. I'm recognized as a user, Enrique, and I have logged in successfully. Let's clear D to see the message. I have logged in. Let's continue with the application. The application will continue. And yeah, so let's log out. And let's do a wrong username. Again, the same breakpoint. And now we see that the breakpoint when login failed is hit. This to see the message, login failed. Let's continue. We are presented here with an error message that the username and password is incorrect, which in fact it is. So in breakpoint, I have logged in. And this is all. We have created our custom app delegate and our custom login delegate. So we can perform the actions we need here. So we can pass custom headers if we are going to, to perform some actions against the REST server. So this is all. Since we are going to make use of MicroStrategy REST API to extend the application, I will explain a couple of very basic concepts about REST. This has been discussed in one of our webinars in March. REST is designed to build data-driven client applications. The developers can make use of MicroStrategy REST API programmatically in their code or using any other client tools like CURL, Swagger, or Postman. REST makes use of JSON structures to consume data. It is lightweight and does not include any formatting. Next, Reza, please. The overview steps we have used to extend Library Mobile are: first, create a custom app delegate, then create the custom login delegate, then retrieve and store the authorization token needed in the REST request used by the application, switching between the different views depending on the dossier button tapped, and code the corresponding REST request calls from their specific views. Next, please. The next demo will show an example of what can be done using Library Mobile SDK and MicroStrategy REST API together. Reza, please. We're going to see how we can extend the functionality of the Library Mobile SDK using the MicroStrategy REST API with a simple example. Let's log in to show what we can do. In this case, we have created a user management panel and a REST server setting panels. In this user management panel, we're going to get a list of users. We can have access to one of the users, show the details. We can modify this user. And update the user. Click here again, we can see that the description has been modified. We can create a new user. See that we have created one user. And finally, we can delete this user. User deleted. Then for the REST server setting, this is just a simple panel information about the different settings of the REST server. Let's have a look at how we can create, and you can use the REST API to make all these things that we just saw. First of all, I'm making use of this dossier as a home screen of the app, and this is the dossier that I have created. You can see here, I have put a link with this specific URL. The scheme is demo library. The same goes for this one, but with a different value in the URL. To do this, we need to go to the info pillars and define a custom URL scheme. In this case, we have put the demo library, as we saw in the dossier. We will use this information in our custom app delegate file. As we can see, we can switch the URL using this method whenever a URL is opened, switching the URL to open one view or another of these two, user management or REST server setting. This is one of the ways that we can use the app delegate to customize the normal logic of the application. And then in general, the application works as follows. So clicking on user management, I can get a list of user. If I click on a user, I can get the user details and we can create user, modify users. So all these are calls to our REST API. For example, if I want to get a list of the user, I will create a method to use the endpoint to get the users. To do that, first thing that we will need to use is to create a model. I have created a model for the users, which will have all the fields that the REST API is using for users. This can be done. This can be seen, for example, in Postman when we are getting the users. We can see that this is the information that we have of the user: ID, name, abbreviation, description. ID, name, abbreviation, description. So this is the model for the users, and the same we can do for the server. So this is the model for the server. This is the information that we are storing for the server, which is the same as the REST server is using. If we go to the REST server, we get the information, and we can see that we can get information about the authentication, iServer, model service, collaboration, and this is the same as we are getting here. Authentication information, collaboration server, iServer, that's it. Then, apart from the models, we are creating the services. The services is the way I have organized all the REST calls to be done. So in this case, for the users data server, we have several methods here. We have, if we want to create a new user, I will create a new user method, which will make a call to the corresponding URL. In this case, it will be the host name / MicroStrategy Library / MicroStrategy Library users. In this case, I'm indicating that this is a post request, and then we will set up the different headers that we need. I said the content type in this case. One of the things that we must take into account is that once we have logged in order to make further REST requests, we will need to provide an auth token. For this, I will create a header in this request object to set the xmstr auth token header. Where do I get the auth token from? Well, from this variable and from this object, MSI generic, and the settings that is stored there. How can I set this setting? Well, in this case, I will make use of the custom login delegate. In this custom login delegate, we saw that we have several methods. One after the user has logged in, before the user has logged in, if the user failed to log in, and in this case, the user did succeed when logging in. In this case, I will store the token header in this variable from the success info information, and then I will store in the generic object from MicroStrategy, and I will recover from here to set the auth token. And this is the way that we can use the login delegate to provide the auth token and to make further requests. And this is, I think this is all. So basically, we are creating the models, we are creating the services, and then we are making requests. The requests are done in the data services, and then the only thing that I need to do is to create the views. For example, this one will be to show the list of views, and this one will be to show the user's detail, which will be, for example, this one. And in every one, I will be taking care of the information returned by the REST request made in the services. And that's all. This is one of the multiple examples that we can do, the multiple things that we can do combining the MicroStrategy Library Mobile SDK and the REST API server. Next, we will see some recommended steps when facing some problems using Library Mobile. In certain MicroStrategy library versions, a pop-up window is shown prompting to make use of iCloud. If we want to remove this window, what we need to do is to remove the item 5 entry in the root plist file, which is located in MicroStrategy Resources Settings Bundle folder in Xcode. And then disable the settings iCloud sync update previously key in the custom app delegate as shown in the picture. Next. Finally, in case of encountering problems when working with Library Mobile, there are some logs and tips that can be useful. First, set the library log at debug level. The instructions can be found in the knowledge base article 441.668. As a note, only set this level for troubleshooting purposes since it can lead to performance issues. Fiddler logs can also be useful to analyze the HTTP traffic between the client and the server, or application and the server. Also, in case we are facing nice server errors, the DSS error logs can also help us determine what could be going on at the intelligence server level. Okay, next, I'd like to hand it over to Holly Stevens, our product manager for Library Mobile, to talk about the roadmap for upcoming releases.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. So I am Holly Stevens. So I'm our product manager here for Library, Mobile, and our new desktop app, which is our MicroStrategy app. So we'll be showing you a few things that we have delivered in Q3, what we're delivering in Q4 for SDK, which aren't too many items, but I'll also show you kind of our future framework that we'll be using in the next few releases. So first things first, compatibility and updates are really critical when we're using mobile apps. So the first thing to know is that Library Mobile is now supporting iOS and iPadOS 15. So just make sure that you are on the latest OS version for Library Mobile, just to make sure everything is running smoothly. And the Library Mobile SDK is also compatible with iOS 15. Now in Q4, we are also going to be upgrading to allow you to be developing and customizing apps with Xcode 13.1. So just a few product tips that you can see here. Make sure that you are using Apple Mac with Big Sur. So there are a few specifications that you want to make sure you have. And again, just make sure you're running Xcode 13.1 from Q4 on. And then you're also going to want that iOS SDK 15. And then all together, it should be pretty seamless. And then our last one that we did this year that you should just be aware of is in Q3, we did have continued certification for apps that are integrated with Microsoft Intune. So just be aware that if you are using that in the EMM space, you should be good to go. Okay, so those were just a few updates that we had for this year in terms of SDK specifically. But we also kind of wanted to show you a sneak peek into what we're doing out of the box in terms of app customization. And that's going to be something called custom applications. So if we go to the next slide and we play this video, what you're going to see is basically the future framework that we have for building library applications. And this is going to be done right from Workstation. So you can see here, I actually have a new blade called Applications, and I'm going to be able to determine and build unique library experiences depending on user groups, all without the use of SDK. So this is a really early MVP version, but you can see I can actually set that home screen that used to be from the admin page shown earlier with Workstation. And this is currently for cross clients, right? So if I'm hiding a few components or changing the home screen, it's applicable for Library Mobile, but also Library Web and that desktop app of the MicroStrategy app that I mentioned earlier. So this is really exciting. This means, low code, no code development is kind of the future of what we want to do. It's a lot easier in terms of maintenance and keeping up with your apps and what you've customized. Again, this is the really early version, but in the future, we are planning to have different themes and being able to customize, the panels of library, change the icons within the interface, right? Not only the mobile icon, but getting kind of down to a more granular level to make sure library is kind of branded for your organization moving forward. So really exciting stuff here. And then finally, I'm just going to show you this. So again, we do have the ability to set dossiers home for mobile today, but we're kind of revamping it, and it will be applicable for library web as well. So you can just see in this screenshot how we have customers, and internally we've been developing dossiers that essentially act as an application. So you can see here on the left side, you have that really nice kind of panel with different images that work with contextual linking, bringing users to different pages. And then at the top, you have that home icon to always go back to the home page. But you can get really creative in order to, rebrand and customize library in a way that you might not even know it's MicroStrategy. Again, all from out of the box. So we're excited. That's about it. I just kind of wanted to go pretty fast in the interest of time. World 2022 is coming up. If you want to hear from myself and other product managers, you'll see a lot more new features than just what I showed you. We'll also go into more depth about what I did just show, so make sure to attend. But pretty simple from me today. But now I am going to be passing it off to education and Anahi to tell you all about what you can learn and the courses we have moving forward. So I will hand it off and talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Holly. Hello, my name is Ana Serrano, and I'm a senior education consultant with MicroStrategy. Now, in education, if we could go to the next slide. In education, we have over 50 courses available, offered as live instruction and self-paced learning, covering a range of features and tools available in MicroStrategy. Now, depending on your needs, we have 2 passes available: the Analyst Pass, which covers training on our reporting objects, data science, customization, and so forth. And with the Architect Pass, we have more advanced training through the rest of our catalog and certifications. Now, if we could go to the next slide. Now, if you are interested in some training in the areas that we covered today, we have some courses listed here. And more detailed descriptions are available in our course catalog on the education page of the MicroStrategy website. And so we highly encourage you guys to check us out. Our classes, like I said, are offered as live instruction, but there is course recordings for these classes and self-paced learning that you can do if you are not able to attend a live class. All right, so let's go on now to our Q&A.
All right. Thank you so much, team, for all that great info. Looks like we're getting the whole team up here on the screen so that we can go through the questions from our Q&A for our Q&A session. We've got a couple of questions been submitted that we're going to go through, and we'll get started. All right, first question. When will I be able to use Xcode 13 with Library Mobile SDK?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So right now we're on track for this all to work with Library Mobile SDK at the end of Q4, which will be available in December. So that is our timeline on the product side so far.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Holly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got a question from YouTube here. Can the same customizations be done for Android as well?
I can take that one. Yes, all of the examples and demos that Enrique showed are definitely possible in Android as well. So you'll definitely be able to accomplish all the same things. There's parity between the two platforms.
Okay, great. Thanks, Regina. All right, and can you change the icon of the mobile app with custom apps coming in the next few releases?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting question. So for the MVP of apps, which I kind of showed the framework for right now, kind of the first pass of this, and you'll see this probably in Q1, Q2 targets, is being able to change that icon within the interface. But we actually want to make everything from Workstation and make it super simple. So even recompiling the app, changing that actual app icon that you would deploy would eventually be available in that Workstation framework. Again, just making it easier to maintain within our products. So the answer is yes, but timeline is still kind of to be determined as we move forward.
Okay, great. is it possible to make a dossier your home screen for Library Mobile? I think Enrique covered this somewhat in.
Well, yes, we have shown in one of the demo videos, so I don't remember if it was the second one or the third one, but yeah, we saw how to set it and how to use it along with the REST API. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. And let's see, any other questions that we've got here? Is that the last one? Okay, awesome. Can a user have access to multiple custom apps created from Workstation?
Yeah, I can take this one again. So we can't obviously commit to any timelines, but on our roadmap right now, with that MVP of custom apps, our ideal is that you think of this almost like you can have one app and that be that centralized app, or you can have multiple kind of workspaces for a user. So I might create a sales app, but also have someone that has access to finance. And when I go to account within Library Mobile, or maybe it's Library Web, whatever that might be, they'll be able to easily switch between them. So very similar to any workspace notions that you know of today. So tentatively, yes, from the product side.
Okay, great. Thanks, Holly. All right. And so we have a question here. Thanks for showing how I can change my splash and login screen. Can I also change the colors and icons on the top bar of the library home screen?
I can take this one. I have been trying hard to do that. But at this moment, well, in my conversations with our colleagues from technology, at this moment, I don't know how to do it. I think it is not possible, and I've been told that there's some specific REST API. So at this moment, there is no properties like we saw in the login screen in a plist to change that. No, we don't have that at this moment. Sorry, but it's a good thing to take note. I have taken note of that.
Yeah, and I will say that if you're talking about the inside of the library interface and the library home where the content lives, this will hopefully be solved with that custom applications feature that is, our future framework within the next few months. So make sure to stay tuned for that, because again, we might not have it today, but we're kind of looking at all those things to make it easier than ever to really customize that experience.
Awesome. All right. Let's see if we've got any other questions. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you all so much for sharing your expertise and answering all of those questions. And we'll go back to the presentation, Reza, finish up with. And if you want to go to the next one. So just wanted to mention again here that this is the last webinar of 2021, and we did cover a ton of great content over the year. I want to thank the team for all their hard work and putting out several really amazing and informative webinars throughout the past months. And if you missed any of the webinars, you can head over to our YouTube channel where you can see all of the recordings of our previous topics that we covered and that were hosted by support and our technology team. So definitely go check out those videos. And if you'd like to learn more about Library Mobile SDK, you can reach out to support, open a support ticket, and visit our website. And if you'd like to gain enhanced access to our experts on a regular basis, then please go to microstrategy.com/en/support and learn how to upgrade to one of the 3 premium support plans that we offer. So thank you all for joining. Thanks so much to our experts, and we really hope that this content was informative and helpful. So thanks, team.